period was over, is that right? And the paramedics had arrived?
Yes, it did. And as we discussed, as you're evaluating use of force, you look at the facts and circumstances as they existed at the time, which means you can't consider events that occurred later after the use of force is concluded to justify earlier use of force.
In your analysis, did the bystanders present a threat during the restraint period?
No, they did not present a threat to the officers.
And it's judged by a reasonable officer on the scene in the defendant's position. Would a reasonable officer have perceived them as a threat?
No, the facts and circumstances suggest not. For example, Officer Tao did not interpose himself between the bystanders and the other officers until more than 6 minutes into the prone restraint period. His communications with the crowd were, as discussed, when individual bystanders stepped into the street and were directed back up onto the curb. With one exception, they did so within a few seconds without any type of physical contact. When there was physical contact between Officer Tao and one of the bystanders who looked like an older child or a young boy, that bystander was swiftly grabbed and pulled away by another one of the bystanders.
Now, did you see the defendant interact with or in the area of any of the bystanders after the restraint period was over?
After the restraint period was over, yes, the defendant left the position where he had been during the restraint and walked back, I believe, to his squad, the police vehicle, walking by several of the bystanders, not really interacting with them, but just walking by them or near them. And then once in his vehicle, he interacted with, I believe, the same bystander we had discussed earlier, Charlie McMillan.
Charles